various approaches, as you can see through the points. Constructive approach, definitely, I mean, it's a relatively new approach, and it focuses on that we, the teachers and students, should collectively construct the knowledge. So don't think that students' mind is like a clean slate. Whatever you want to like write, you will write. No, rather this approach says that it is filled with so many information. So just you have to activate. So provide the opportunity of the students to think, to do, I mean, something like that, and collectively, uh, you and your students should construct the knowledge. Then collaborative approach, it focuses on the collaboration among the students, certain kind of group methods of teaching. So many students may cooperate, may collaborate, and accordingly learn. Integrative approach, in which you utilize so many methods. I mean, you just not rely on only one method of teaching. For example, lecture. So lecture is one method of teaching, but besides, case study might be one method, brainstorming might be one method, assignment might be one method. So integrative means you are integrating so many approaches. Then inquiry based, which is more focused on inquiring. I mean, inquiry encourages the students to ask questions, give answers, and I mean, something like that. And finally, reflective. Again, I mean, it's a very high level of pedagogy. So here you focus your students on thinking. So let them think. I mean, provide some opportunity so that they may think. So it's a high level of teaching. I mean, uh, uh, students start thinking, and they give solution to some problems. I mean, something like that. So in a nutshell, these were the various approaches of pedagogy. Now, if you come to Indian pedagogy, so how Indian pedagogy is different from Western pedagogy, or in a nutshell, what are the important characteristics of Indian pedagogy? So, I mean, there might be so many, but I have just identified 8 pedagogies which are mentioned on the slide. So I'd like to request any one of you to please read the slide.
May I read, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Characteristics of Indian pedagogy. Non-mechanical, first point, non-heavily bookish, focus on vidya, not shiksha, focus on knowledge and not on the information, ensuring holistic development, integrated teaching, emphasizing on the purity of soul, janana from within, sa vidya
Gyan.
ya miktaya, learning through life.
Right. Who are you, sir?
Sir, Mujtaba Atif, sir.
Mujtaba, right, my friend. You are so active. Thank you, my friend. So these are the important, 8 important characteristics of Indian pedagogy. So the first and foremost important characteristic is it's not mechanical. Now, at this juncture of time, I would like to ask one question. So, do you think teaching is a mechanical process? What's your opinion? So, Mujtaba sir, Basla ma'am, so many other people, you all are teachers. You tell me, teaching is a mechanical process? What's your opinion?
No, sir, it's not mechanical.
It's not mechanical. Rather, it's an emotional process. So you connect your students through your emotions. So the moment you deliver the lecture, the moment you ask the question, the moment you have created some situation and they are thinking over it, the moment they have you have asked some question and they are thinking over it. I mean, something like that. So you connect to your students emotionally. So this is the first important characteristics of Indian pedagogy. If you see the ancient our pedagogies, so they were never mechanical. I mean, no artificiality was there. Rather, there was a direct connect between the students and teachers. So this was the first characteristic. Then our Indian pedagogy was not heavily bookish. I mean, not heavily relying on books. So the focus was on vidya and not shiksha. And you see, these two are the Sanskrit terms, vidya and shiksha. And basically, the difference between these two is that vidya is gained, vidya is got, and shiksha is given. So Vidya means it's more important than Shiksha. Vidya is more important than Shiksha. Why? Because it somehow include learning in itself. So there are so many ways, there are so many sources, and you keep on acquiring the knowledge and information. So Vidya is what? That is acquired. Vidya is what? That is taken, that is collected. And Shiksha is what? That is given. So our focus was on Vidya, not on Shiksha. Then coming to the third point, focus on the knowledge and not on the information. So what's the difference between information and knowledge, my friends? What's your opinion? My friends? My friends, please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what is more important, knowledge or information?
Sir, knowledge is more
Sir,
important, sir.
sir, in knowledge.
Yeah, because Everest is, Mount Everest height is 8848 meter. It's information. I mean, anyone might have this information, but where Mount Everest is situated, I mean, topography and environment and climate and so many things. So that is beyond the information, and that is knowledge. So knowledge somehow include in itself certain kind of understanding, and information means simply I have got something. So our focus in fact, if you see the Indian pedagogy, so our focus was on knowledge and not on the information. Then all of our pedagogies, they ensured holistic development of the students. So what is a holistic development? If you see, it includes physical, mental, moral, emotional, social, and spiritual development. So if all these developments are taking place, then you can say that holistic development is taking place. So our focus was on ensuring holistic development. Then you see integrated teaching. Again, I mean, this is the point, that so many methods of teaching were used, so many methods of teaching were integrated. And then emphasizing on the purity of soul, I mean, it was very much emphasis. And sa vidya ya vimukte, so jnana from within, I mean, the knowledge from within, I mean, making you sharp, making you a thinking entity, so that knowledge might come from within. I mean, focusing more on reflection, focusing more on understanding. And finally, learning through life. So at this juncture of time, I would like to ask there is one old proverb, and that says that life is the best teacher. So do you agree with this statement, my friends?
Yes, sir.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you might have theoretical knowledge or bookish knowledge in the schools and colleges, but there are so many life experiences, and through those life experiences you get more knowledge in comparison to the books, in comparison to the teachers, in comparison to the institutions, educational institutions particularly. So various life experiences basically teach, and that's why, I mean, our focus of Indian pedagogy was learning through life. Now uh, I'm coming to those pedagogy which were widely used. I mean, there were so many Indian pedagogy. I mean, in the ancient time, they are around 100, in fact, and scholars vary on that. But in fact, I have extracted out 9 important methods which were very much prevalent. And why I have taken all these? So first, I'm going to talk what are these, and then all these 9 definitely they have some certain kind of relevance even today. So that's why I have taken all these 9 pedagogies. So you just listen to me. I mean, the characteristic of every method. What are these every method, and what are the characteristics, and how you can utilize even today in your classroom with your students. So first method. I mean, this slide 9 methods. So can you read it, my friends?
May I, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Indian methods of pedagogy. The first
Hmm.
one, Vyakhyana,
Hmm.
Kandasta,
Hmm.
Prashnottara,
Hmm.
Samvada,
Hmm.
Agamana and Nigamana,
Hmm.
Nidyasana,
Yeah.
Nidyasana,
Hmm. Ah.
okay, Shastrartha,
Ah.
Vada, Vivada,
Yeah.
Chindana.
Chintana. I mean, these 9 methods. So first, I would like to focus on Vyakhyana. So what is Vyakhyana? So first, these 6 points have been mentioned on the slide. So any one of you, please read these 6 points. My friends, any one of you, please read the slide.
So may I?
Yeah, sure.
Vyakhana,
Yeah,
prepared by required an organized and disciplined classroom.
right.
Students were expected to listen to their teachers silently,
Hmm.
or given a chance to clear their doubts at the end.
Hmm.
A good method of disseminating information and knowledge,
Yeah,
very economical method in terms of time and cost.
very good. Very good. Who are you, ma'am?
So I'm Jamshina from Grace Valley College.
Right, right. What do you teach, ma'am?
So I'm from Department of English.
Okay, okay. So what was Vyakhyana? I mean, today's lecture. So it was at that time known as Vyakhyana. So the only method, the only difference between Vyakhyana and lecture is that by and large today the lecture is delivered while teacher is standing, whereas at that time Vyakhyana was mostly delivered when the teacher was sitting. I mean, there was some banyan tree or peepal tree, I mean, something like that, and there was some plinth. I mean, sometimes 6 feet above the ground, or sometimes 3 feet above the ground, sometimes 2 feet above the ground. On that the teacher sit, and around him the students sit, and finally he delivered the lecture. So this is the only difference between modern lecture and Vyakhyana, but the philosophy, the concept, and the merits, I mean, all those are same. So what is Vyakhyana? Definitely always a lecture is prepared by the teacher, and a good a person who delivers a good lecture, what he or she requires that an organized and disciplined classroom should be there. At that time, students were expected to listen to their teacher silently. I mean, decorum of the classroom was strictly required to meet. I mean, no interference in between. I mean, teacher will come, he will start or she will start delivering the lecture. Students will listen, and I mean, if they have any doubt or something like that, so 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I mean, something like that time was given. But certain kind of a decorum was maintained, and classroom was highly organized and disciplined, and no interference in the lecture was tolerated by those teachers. So lecture is a very good method of disseminating information and knowledge. It's very economical. Why? Because even 100 students, 150 students, or 200 students, they are sitting in a room. Even if you see today's context, all of them are sitting in a room. So a teacher comes with preparation, so he or she can impart so much knowledge and so much information within least time, and by utilizing least energy. So no method is as economical in terms of time and cost as lecture method. So that's why, I mean, it's a very peculiar. But what do you think? Preparing a lecture and delivering a lecture is an easy job or a tough job? What's your opinion, my friends?
It's not an easy job, sir.
What about other people? Basla ma'am and other people? What's your opinion? My question is, yeah.
Yes, sir, same opinion. It's not easy.
So and why it is not easy? Because you have to go through 7, 8, sometimes even 10 books, and you have to make some points. You have to ensure that no important point is missing by you. You have to ensure that you are not overemphasizing on certain point. You have to ensure that within the time you are delivering, you have to ensure that you are giving the sufficient time for the students to understand. You have to ensure that whatever the matter you are presenting, it should be understandable. I mean, all these things are not a cup of tea. So Vyakhyana definitely a very good method of teaching at that time, and even today it is most widely used and it is most economical method. But we have to have certain kind of precaution. So what precautions are these? So through this sketch, I'm trying to let you understand. So can you see the slide, my friends?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Hmm. So how many components are there of Vyakhyana which are shown on the slide?
5 components are there.
Yeah. So spell out. First one is
First one is teacher, sir.
hmm.
Second one, content.
Second one?
Content, channel, third one channel,
Third one?
fourth is the students, fifth is the distorted material received.
Right, right, right. So if you see component number 1 and component number 4, so component number 1 arrows are outside, whereas component 4 arrows are inside. So can you guess what I want to communicate through this, my friends? My friends?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The teacher spreading the knowledge
yeah.
while the students absorbing what the teacher did.
Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you, ma'am. So teachers, they are, the knowledge is flowing from the teachers. The knowledge is going out from the teachers. That's why in the first component, the arrows are outside. Whereas all the knowledge and information is culminating to the students. That's why arrows are inside. So whether I am delivering a lecture or you are delivering a lecture or any person is delivering a lecture, definitely all these 5 components will be there. But the most important component is the teacher. My friends, always remember that you simply don't teach in 40 minutes. Rather, you shape a personality, you groom a personality, you inculcate the values, you do so many things. So at this juncture of time, I would like to tell you a very good story of a teacher, in fact, and then definitely we'll proceed ahead. So this story revolves around one of the greatest warriors in history, that is Alexander the Great. So do you know who was the teacher of Alexander the Great? My friends? My
No, sir.
friends? Aristotle. Have you heard his name?
Yeah, we
Yes,
had
sir.
the
Yeah. Yeah. So Aristotle was a teacher of Alexander the Great. And Aristotle was very learned. He was a great philosopher. So he knew where Persia is, where India is. And it is said that whole of the personality of Alexander was groomed by Aristotle. I mean, there was an everlasting impact of Aristotle on Alexander's mind and personality. So there was one country in Europe, and Alexander's father wanted to win over that country, but I mean, he attacked so many times also, but couldn't succeed. I mean, that country was very prosperous, very strong. Its army was very strong, and a very brave people were there. So no, Alexander's fathers couldn't do that. So finally, Alexander thought that I'm going to attack on this country, and definitely I will win over this country. So with a huge army, Alexander attacked on that country, and all the big generals of his time, they were there in the army. I mean, all the warriors, great warriors of Macedonia, they were there in the Alexander's army, and Aristotle was also there. So, Alexander himself was a very brave person. So, they attacked with all of their might. And, the enemy's army definitely, I mean, couldn't sustain that attack. So, they started fleeing from the battlefield. So slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, they moved backward, backward, and finally they ran away from the battlefield, and they went to their fort, and in that fort, they took the refuge. So that fort was very strong, very big. I mean, all the army and all the generals and all the soldiers, they took refuge in that fort. That fort was situated on a river bank, and at that time, river was flooded. So there was one wooden bridge on that river. But when that army in fact crossed the river, they burnt that bridge and they removed, I mean, all the boats and everything, so that Alexander's army could not cross the river. Now, this was a difficult situation. Victory will not be completed unless and until uh, you are winning the fort, and you can't win the fort unless and until you are crossing the river. So you can't cross the river simply because there were no boats, there was no, you can say, bridge, I mean, something like that. So what to do? How to cross this river? In order to get the solution of this problem, Alexander organized a meeting of all of his journals, and in that meeting, Aristotle was also there. So someone suggested that since this time the river is flooded, so someone of us should go to the river, should enter into the water, should try to know the depth of the water as well as the flow of the water, and then accordingly some strategies can be made. So this opinion was liked by everyone, but the $1 million question was, who is going to the river? Who is going to enter into the water? So no one came forward. No one voluntarily offered his services to do the needful. So finally, Aristotle said, "Okay, Alexander, I will go. I'm going to the river. I will enter into the water, and I will try to find the flow as well as flow of the water as well as the depth of the river." So he was forbidden by Alexander. Alexander said, "Oh, my great teacher, you don't go, rather I will go." Then there was an argument between Alexander and Aristotle. So Aristotle said, "Alexander, you are the commander in chief of this grand army. If you will go to the river, you will enter into the water and you will be drowned, then your whole army will lose its morale. And the great purpose for which we have come here, that great purpose will not be served." Listening to it, you know what Alexander said, that is very historical. He said, "Yes, oh my great teacher, if I will go to the river, I will enter into the water and I will be drowned, and you will be there. Then you can prepare thousands of Alexanders. But oh my great teacher, if you will go to the river, you will enter into the water and you will be drowned, then me and my whole army will not be able to prepare a single Aristotle." My friends, got the story?
Yes, sir.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Nice story, ma'am. Mujtaba sir, Basla ma'am, and other people. Nice story.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, do you think a teacher can be replaced by these, Wikipedia and YouTube and other apps? What's your opinion?
So not at all, sir.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So, my friends, they can assist, but they can't replace you. So, during this vyakhyana, during this lecture, the most important component is the teacher. How serious you are, how good prepared you are, how enthusiastically you have prepared the lecture, how enthusiastic you are to listen to your students' problems and questions. Something like that. Second component, if you see, content. So this is your content. I have nothing to say, because 15 years, 17 years, 20 years, you have studied your content. But the only problem is that knowing the content is different and delivering it to the student is different. So far as the second aspect is concerned, we lack that. So how to do that? I'm just going to explain in the next slide. Third component is channel. So what is channel, by the way, my friends? My friends?
Yes,
My
sir.
friends, what is channel?
The medium.
Medium. Very good. Very good. In order to communicate, my friends, you have to have some medium. So that medium might be chalk and talk. That medium might be PPTs. That medium might be Google Meet platform. That medium might be, some other things, but somehow in order to communicate, you have to have some channel. But remember one thing, my friends, channel should not use you. You should use the channel. So heavy reliance on the channel is not required. I have seen so many seminars. People come with lot of PPTs. Sometimes there are 40 PPTs. Sometimes there are 60 PPTs. More and more reliance on the PPTs. So by that, teaching becomes mechanical, and we should avoid that. So PPTs, definitely will assist us. They will not replace us. For example, suppose I haven't taken this session, and just I would have sent all my PPTs to Sita Lakshmi ma'am, and Sita Lakshmi ma'am would have shared all these with you. So have you enjoyed my lecture, my friends, by that way? My friends?
No, sir.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir.
No, sir.
No, definitely. So PPTs are for you to assist. They will not replace you. So heavy reliance on channel should not be there. I have seen people, they say that when a PPT is on, mind is off. Or sometimes I have seen people, my mind is in my PPT. So if my, PPT is not run, my mind will not run. I mean, such type of very line should not be there. Coming to the fourth component, students, and they are very important components. And you are attending this workshop, and I think since 20th, you have listened to the various resource person, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So this is eighth lecture you are listening, and of course, after tomorrow, 8 more lectures will be there, and you will be listening to all these. So what's your opinion, my friend? Listening is an easy job, or listening is very difficult? What's your opinion, my friends?
If it is an interesting topic, it is easy. Otherwise, it is very difficult to listen.
Listening is very difficult, my friends, unless and until the speaker is very good, unless and until the speaker is connecting to you, unless and until the topic on which the speaker is speaking has some particular interest in you. Something like that. And after attending this program, definitely you will realize it more that listening is very difficult. So after attending this workshop, you go to your classroom and become listenable so that your students might listen to you. So, who your students are, what's their background, what's their mental level, what's their interest, how much serious they are, for the career, all those things. So, somehow this matters. And finally, the fifth component, that is distorted material received. So again, I would like to to you people to compare the component number 2 and component number 5. So are they same, my friends?
No, sir. I think
No. So if you see, the component number 2 is triangular in nature, whereas the component number 5 is pentagonal in nature.
yes, sir.
So through this, what I want to convey, that my friends, there is no teacher in this world who can say that he or she has communicated all the 100% to his or her students. Definitely, certain kind of distortion is there. So how to control this distortion and how to make your lecture better? So for that, I'm going to show a very interesting finding that I have got. I have got a PhD thesis to be evaluated by me, and definitely in that the researcher has conducted this study. And though it has been conducted at secondary level, but it has a lot of relevance for you at higher level also. So this study was conducted on retention after 24 hours. So what is retention, by the way, my friends? What do you understand by retention, my friends? My friends?
Remembering?
Yeah. So whatever has been taught to you, how much of that you can reproduce or recall after a gap of 24 hours, or after a gap of 1 week, or after a gap of 1 month, or after a gap of 1 year. So that is technically known as retention. So this particular study was conducted on retention, and definitely retention after 24 hours. So what the researcher did in this particular study, so he divided a class in 7 different groups, and he chose the same topic, and but the method of teaching was different. So first group, what that researcher did, he taught the same topic by lecture method. Second group, he didn't teach, rather he instructed the students to go to the library and read. Third group, he taught through audiovisual aids. Fourth group, he arranged some demonstration. Fifth group, he initiated some meaningful discussion in the classroom. Sixth group, he encouraged or he provided the opportunity for practice by doing. And finally, the seventh group, again, he didn't teach, rather he instructed the students to make PPTs or something like that and present that before the students, before their peers. And then finally, using some statistics, he calculated the retention. So it will be very amazing for you that so far as retention is concerned, lecture was found to be the least effective method. The worst method. Why? Because in lecture, the retention was reported only 5%. Even reading was twice as better as lecture, because retention was 10%. And similarly, audiovisual aid, you can see 20%, demonstration 30%, discussion 50%, practice by doing 75%, and teaching others or presentation, maximum retention was reported, and that was 90%. So what this particular study implicates for us, that definitely in the school, in the university and colleges, we have heavy syllabus, and that syllabus is required to be covered in the stipulated time. So definitely we are under pressure. So we have no option except to use lecture. Only through lecture we can finish the syllabus in time. But what's required, what is required to be done, I mean, the remaining 6 techniques, you see, reading, audiovisual aid, demonstration, discussion, practice by doing, or teaching others, or presentation. So I mean, we can supplement. I mean, if there is any possibility, so you supplement your lecture with the reading. If there is any possibility of using audiovisual aid, you may use audiovisual aid. If there is any possibility of demonstration, definitely you do. I mean, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if all the 6 are possible, you do it. So by that way, your lecture will be more interesting, it will be more effective, and definitely the distortion about which I talked in the previous slide, the distortion will also be managed, and will also be checked, or will also be reduced. So this was the first method that was used in India, widely used in India. It is one of the most important methods Indian pedagogy, and that was Vyakhyana. So what is Vyakhyana, and how Vyakhyana even today can be used in a better way, that I have expressed before you people. Now I'm coming to the second method of teaching, that was Kanthastha. So what is Kanthastha? 5 points are there on the slide, and I would like to request any one of you to please read the slide. Friends? Yeah.
Okay. Kanthastha. The first point, the act of reading repeatedly, learning by heart, useful in memorizing hymns and those slokas that were used in the religious rituals, also used in learning the basic rules, last lower level of teaching, memory, understanding, and reflective levels of teaching.
Right. So what is Kanthastha? Definitely you kept on reading something repeatedly, loudly, I mean loudly or silently also, I mean it's up to you, but continuously reading so many times, so that you may learn it by heart. And it was a very important method, because in ancient time, so definitely there were no computers, or I mean there was no memory. So whatever the Vedas or Upanishads or whatever the knowledge we have today, definitely they have come to us through human beings. I mean, one teacher learned, then he transferred it to his student, then that student transferred to his student, I mean something like that. So Kanthastha was a very important method of teaching, and particularly it was used in memorizing the hymns and shlokas, particularly, which were used in the religious rituals. So what's the importance of Kanthastha even today? If you see, there are so many basic rules. So if you talk about grammar, so English grammar is different from Sanskrit grammar. Sanskrit grammar is different from Hindi grammar. I mean, you can't say that all the languages have the same grammar, but grammar of the language is very important. Grammar is run by the rules. So, I mean, somehow those rules are important for us to remember. Or sometimes some calculations in mathematics, or sometimes some formulas, sometimes, some tables. I mean, these are very important. So even today, in today's context also, Kanthastha is relevant. So if you see, there are 3 levels of teaching. So memory is the lowest level of teaching, then comes understanding, and then comes reflective. So, I mean, in memory level teaching, what happens? The least involvement of mind is there. But as you will go up and you will talk about understanding, so it will be involving more your mental level. And finally, reflective level, where lot of thinking takes place. So, memory, Kanthastha, comes to the lowest level of teaching. But definitely, I mean, it might have some significance even today, because even today what most of the teachers they do, or what most of the students they do, they try to cram, and in order to pass the exam, so they try to memorize the notes and important points of the teacher. So I mean, as such, there is no harm, but as a teacher we should encourage that they should go beyond the memory, and they should come to understanding and reflective levels as well. So this was the second method, that was Kanthastha. Then comes Prashnottara. So again 5 points have been there on the slide. So I would like to request any one of you to please read the slide. My friends, any one of you, please read the slide. My friends, please read the slide.
Sir, Prashnotara.
Hmm.
Lower order questions based on
Ah.
memory.
Hmm.
Middle order based on understanding.
Hmm.
Higher order based on a reflection.
Hmm.
Teacher asks students to answer a set of questions.
Hmm.
The designed questions encourage and challenge students to correct their misconceptions and understand the concept by themselves.
Right, right. So if you see, there are 3 types of questions. Lower order questions, which are completely based on memory. So I mean, when India got its independence, who is the Prime Minister of India? Who is the President of India? When Children's Day is celebrated? I mean, these type of questions, they are known as lower order questions, which are purely based on memory. But middle order questions are those questions which are based on understanding. So understanding, application, I mean, such type of. And higher order questions, I mean, evaluate or judge or create or analyze. I mean, these are very higher order question in which higher mental ability is involved. So if you see, Prashnottara was a method which was used in ancient India. And of course, these 3 questions were preferred by the teacher. So teacher started from the lower order questions, and they were distributed normally in the classroom. Why? Because lower order questions are based on memory. They are relatively easy. So more and more people will be involved. Ultimately, the class, what will happen? The class will be active. Then middle order question, definitely, I mean, it will be answered by only few. And finally, higher order question, again, only 1 or 2 students will be able to do that, but it's very important. So all these 3 questions were distributed among the classroom by the teachers. Then a set of questions, as I have mentioned, they were asked by the teachers, and these questions definitely encourage and challenge students to correct their misconceptions and understand the concept by themselves. And Prashnottara, I mean, if you see in so many books, you will find that it is known as Socratic method as well. But Socrates was quite, you can say, new in comparison to our ancient system of education. So I mean, even Upanishad period is of 1500 BC, and if you'll go through the Upanishad and other these scriptures, so you will find, I mean, such type of things were there. I mean, Prashnottara and all those things in their teaching method. So, but if you see the Socrates period, it is much. I mean, 1000. It's more than 1000. 1000 years later, Socrates born. I mean, 1200 years later, Socrates born. So Prashnottara is a quite old and originated basically in India, and it was very much used by teachers. Then a 4th one comes Samvada. So what is Samvada? Again, 5 points have been mentioned on the slide. So please read the slide.
May I read, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Samvada.
Hmm.
Dialogue between the teacher and the students. Teacher gives some analogy. Students opportunity to respond. Encourages their self-confidence. Particularly important in practicing foreign languages.
Right. Samvada. I mean, certain kind of dialogue. So it was a dialogue between the teacher and the student. So there is one very beautiful Samvada that is there in the Upanishad that I am presenting before you people. So there's one great teacher. So he was sitting under a tree, and that tree was wild fig. So, and there were so many wild figs which were lying on the ground. So one of his students approached that teacher. So by the footsteps of the student, the teacher realized who the student is. So he asked, "Do you want to ask something?" He said, "Yes, sir." The teacher said, "Ask." The student asked the question, "Sir, how this universe has been created by the creator?" So definitely it was a difficult question. So that teacher said, "Okay, I'm answering this question. So what you do? You bring a wild fig to me, which are there lying on the ground." So that student took the wild fig, gave it to his teacher. So his teacher broke that wild fig. So the moment he broke it, so very small, a tiny part of that fig was there. So he said, "Again, break it." Then that was broken by the student. So first he asked, "The moment you broke the wild fig, what you got?" He said, "Sir, this tiny part, this tiny flower, something like that." He said, "Okay." In the second time when you broke that tiny flower, what you got? The student said, "Nothing, sir." So bola, so through nothing, this wild fig has been created. Similarly, through nothing, this universe has been created by the creator. So this is a very beautiful analogy. So what is Samvada? In fact, in Samvada, teacher gives some analogy, and the beautifulness of this method is that it gives the students opportunity to respond. So if you are normally lecturing and normally you are in the classroom, so definitely some students respond, but some students don't prefer to respond. But the moment you will change the approach and you will try to teach them through dialogue, so it will give opportunity to more and more students to respond. Definitely it encourages their self-confidence. Needless to say, more and more they will respond, and more they will be engaged in teaching learning process. So definitely their self-confidence will be raised. And it's particularly important in practicing foreign languages. So at this juncture of time, I would like to ask why this Samvada is important in practicing foreign languages. So any opinion from you people, my friends? My friends? My friends, listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So my question is why this Samvada is particularly important in practicing foreign languages? Okay. Well, let me ask like this. I'm talking about English language. So definitely English is a foreign language for all of us, for you as well as for me. So do you think pronunciation of English matters, my friends? My friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
yes. Similarly, do you think that give in has different meaning, give up has different meaning, look after has different meaning, look off has different meaning? Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
So since foreign languages are not our mother tongue, so definitely they are run by their rule, and there are so many sensitivities. So if you will not be able to pronunciate rightly, or if you will be just using some preposition instead of some, so whole meaning will be changing. So that's why this Samvada is the most suitable method, particularly to practice foreign languages. So you will be encouraged to speak, teacher will see, you will be communicating with the teacher, certain kind of dialogue will take place, some issue will be there on which you will speak, your teacher will speak, something like that. Through that, so many things will be corrected. And particularly grammar and particularly this pronunciation, all these are very important. So samvada was a very important method that was used in ancient India. It is very important today, particularly to teach foreign languages. Then comes agmana nigmana. So some points have been mentioned on the slide. So I would like you people to I would like to request you people to read the slide.
Sir.
Hmm.
Agmana, Nigmana.
Hmm.
Agmana, example to rule.
Hmm.
Nigmana, example, rule to example.
Hmm.
Suitable for teaching grammar,
Hmm.
translation, geometry, and logic.
Hmm.
Teacher encourages the students to
Hmm.
observe the pattern and then respond.
Hmm.
Teacher serves as a guide.
Hmm.
He or she, sir, he or she explains also if required.
Right. Who are you, sir?
Mushtabatif, sir.
Mushtabatif. Right. So agmana nigmana. So in English it is known as inductive deductive. So agmana, that is inductive, and nigmana, that is deductive. So their approaches are different. For example, all of you have been told in lower classes that there is a rule of geometry that the sum of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So a teacher goes to the classroom, instruct his or her students to make so many triangles, so many types of triangles. Then he instructs to measure all the three angles. Then he instructs to find the sum. So what will happen? For every type of triangle, the sum will come out to be 180 degree. And through that, the teacher will come to the conclusion that, my dear students, there's a rule of geometry that the sum of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So this is what agmana or induction. That is, you have proceeded from one example, you have taken one example, then you have taken second, third, fourth, and finally you have come to conclusion. Nigmana is reverse of that, in which you go and teach the rule first, and then you take various examples to prove that rule. So for example, you went to the classroom, you said that, dear students, there's a rule of geometry that the sum of all the angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So let's take various examples and prove it. Then you instruct your students to make various triangles and then measuring their angles and then finding the sum. So rule is told first, and then you take various examples to substantiate that rule, to verify that rule. So this is nigmana, and these both were used in ancient India. And this agmana nigmana approach is very suitable particularly to teach grammar, translation, geometry, definitely, and logic. And particularly we have logic as well, inductive logic and deductive logic. So no, these four, it might be suitable to other subjects as well, but particularly grammar, translation, geometry, and logic, it's very suitable. And even we can use it today. And since I'm a teacher educator and I'm a teacher trainer, so we use to teach all these methods to our students to teach, grammar and other subjects. Then in this method, what's the importance of this method? Basically, teacher encourages the students to observe the pattern. Some pattern is given, you observe minutely and then respond. And in this approach, basically, instead of giving the knowledge, instead of imparting the knowledge, teacher basically serves as a guide. And if there is any explanation, so definitely he or she explains as well. So agmana nigmana, a very good method of teaching that was used in ancient time, and definitely it can be used today also by us, particularly in these subjects which have been mentioned on the slide. Now I want to come to sixth method of teaching, and that is nididhyasana. So some points have been mentioned on the slide. Please read the points. My friends, please read the points.
Sir, Nididhyasana,
Yeah.
Shravana, Manana,
Yeah.
Nididhyasana,
Hmm.
higher order learning,
Hmm.
prompted the students to think,
Hmm.
and meditation usually used for spiritual development.
Right. Who are you, ma'am?
Sir, Basla.
Basla, ma'am. Right. Thank you, ma'am. You are very active participant. Thank you, ma'am. So, see, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Shravana means listening something. So, if you listen something, so relatively your mental involvement of mental level is less. So manana, you are thinking over it. So I mean, more mental involvement. Then nididhyasana, higher order, highest order. So particularly it's used in meditation and particularly for the spiritual development. So there is some person under some tree or in some cave or at some secluded place. I mean, just devoted himself fully to think various complicated and various difficult questions, questions related to existence, questions related to soul, questions related to life and death. I mean, such type of things. So that is what nididhyasana. And nididhyasana was one of the very important methods of teaching which was used, and particularly it was used for spiritual development. So even today, if you see these psychologists, they have defined one term, emotional intelligence, and they say ki emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence both are very important to perform well. I mean, simply IQ is not sufficient for you to give a good performance. I mean, only bookish knowledge is not sufficient for you to give good performance. So certain kind of emotional and spiritual intelligence you should have. So, and that is encouraged by yoga, meditation and other things. So even today, I mean, nididhyasana has relevance. Now I'm coming to the seventh method of teaching, which was very much used in ancient India. So that is shastrartha. So what is it? I mean, some points have been mentioned. I think 5 points have been mentioned on the slide. So I would like to request you people to read the points.
May, sir?
Yeah, sure.
Shastrartha.
Yeah,
Intellectual debate on philosophical and religious issues.
yeah,
Significant time is given to the students to prepare.
yeah,
Makes them confident to present their point of view coherently, systematically, and logically. Develops tolerance among the students to accept others' point of view. It also provides a chance to correct our own point of view.
right. So what is shastrartha? Certain kind of debate, but more, I mean, concentration is on intellectual debate, and particularly philosophical and religious issues. So what is said, Adi Shankaracharya was a great debater, and he participated in so many big debates. And at that time it was a rule that if two knowledgeable person are debating, so if you'll be defeated in the debate, then you will accept the point of view of the person who is in front of you. So he defeated so many people in shastras. He was a great debater. So particularly these debates took place on various philosophical and religious issues. So even it has so much relevance today, particularly if you see today's world. I mean, much violence, much bloodbath is there, much violence is there. And why all this? Because people don't want to understand each other. I mean, they don't have the tolerance to listen to other. I mean, something like that. So even today, this shastrartha is very much relevant. So at least it will develop certain kind of compassion, certain kind of tolerance among the students to listen to others. So first, it will tell you, first benefit of this shastrartha will be that what you know and how coherently, logically, and systematically you are going to present. You will learn one thing, and definitely you will have the compassion, you will have the tolerance to listen to other persons. So this is the beauty of shastrartha. So shastrartha is certain kind of intellectual debate on philosophical and religious issues. So how it is done? So sufficient time is given to the students to prepare. I mean, 1 week advance or 10 days or 15 days, that on this particular issue, on this particular topic, the debate is going to be organized. So so that they may prepare themselves, and then they start presenting their point of view coherently, systematically, and logically. And definitely, as I have mentioned, it develops tolerance among the students to accept others' point of view. And not only this, I mean, if I'm wrong somewhere, so it will be the opportunity for me to correct my own point of view. So Shastrartha, I mean, a very important method of teaching in the ancient India, but it has so much relevance even today, and definitely we can utilize it. And particularly, I mean, so many qualities among the students may be developed through Shastrartha. Now, I'm coming to the eighth point, that is Vada Vivada. So, what is that? So, 5 points have been mentioned on the slide. So, please read it.
Lalitsa,
Yeah.
Vada Vivada.
Hmm.
Discussion. Students are informed in advance.
Hmm.
They are given enough time to prepare.
Hmm.
Teacher notes down the key points.
Hmm.
Students are divided into small groups.
Hmm.
Teacher listens them and ensures that the discussion is not deviating from the point.
Right, right. So, I mean, discussion. Again, discussion is very important. Through discussion, you know so many things. Through discussion, you know particularly the opinion of other people. So in my opinion, it's very important. So, and particularly if you see the Indian pedagogy, ancient pedagogy, so Vada Vivada was definitely used. So, no, the modus operandi is almost same. Students are informed in advance that this particular discussion on this particular topic is going to be held on this particular day, so that they might have enough time. I mean, if you talk about Shastrartha, or if you talk about Nidhi Dhyasana, or if you talk about Vada Vivada, I mean, all these methods are different from lecture. So in lecture, if you broadly categorized, so you will find that there are two methods of teaching. One method of teaching is teacher centered, and other method of teaching are student centered. So lecture comes under a student centered, lecture comes under teacher centered method of teaching. Why? Because it's fully dominated, it's fully controlled by the teacher. So but if you talk about Vada Vivada, Shastrartha, and such type of methods, so they are student centered, because somehow teachers strict command and strict control is not there. I mean, plenty of flexibility is there, and students are given the opportunity to present their views. I mean, argue, respond. I mean, so many things. So that's why they are supposed to be student-centered methods of teaching. So give them time in advance so that they may prepare. Then a teacher comes and then notes down the key points, and students are divided into small groups, and then they are encouraged to start the discussion. Now, one thing which is very important, whether it is debate or discussion, we start it with good intention. Definitely, I mean, we really want to do something good. But you know what happens the moment it starts, the moment the debate starts or the discussion starts. So, after some time, we deviate from the point, and then finally we come to personal things, and people start attacking the other debater on the personal ground. I mean, personally start attacking. So, and then it will kill the whole purpose of Vada Vivada, or the whole purpose of Shastrartha, because our purpose is not to initiate the infighting. Our purpose is just to uh, ensure that students have developed certain kind of tolerance to others' views. I mean, something like that. So, in this, I mean, teacher's role is very important. He should behave like a judge, and if there is any need to become strict, he or she should become strict, so that I mean, at no point of time the discussion is deviating from the point, and whatever the purpose we have established, I mean, that purpose might be uh, utilized. So finally, the last point of teaching, and that is Chintana. So what is Chintana? Some points have been mentioned. So I would like to request any one of you to please read these slides. My friends?
So, Chintana,
Yeah.
certain kind of brainstorming. Teacher announces to conduct it in advance. Students get ample time to prepare. Teacher presents some issues, problems before the students. Students give their opinion about that problem. Teacher listens to those opinion and gave the final conclusion.
Right. Who are you, Ben?
So, Basila.
Basla. So before I proceed, I mean, I think brainstorming is not a very new term. All of you are aware with this. So what do you understand by brainstorming? I wanted to know from you people. So Mujtaba sir, Basla ma'am, and other people. My friends, have you heard about the term brainstorming, my friends?
Yes, sir.
So what is it? I mean, particularly if you talk about the political parties, so when they lose the elections, so in order to know the reasons why they lost the election, so they organize brainstorming session. Have you heard about it, my friends?
Some sort of a group discussion, sir?
Yeah. Not only group discussion, rather to find the solution of some problem in a group way. I mean, we all have been blessed with some problem solving ability, and definitely we can solve our problems. But when collectively we are utilizing all of our energies on one single issue and trying to find out the problem of some solution, then definitely we get the solution. So Chintana basically is a group method of problem solving in which so many people come together, they think over some problem, and finally they get the solution of that problem. So it was a very important method which was used in ancient India, and modus operandi was almost same. Teacher announced it in advance that the brainstorming session will be conducted on this particular date and this particular time and this particular place, so that they may prepare. I mean, whether it is Chintana or whether it is Vada Vivada or whether it is Shastrartha, you are required to give them time in advance, because they all are immature people. I mean, mentally and physically they are not very strong, so definitely, I mean, they will be needing some time so that they may prepare themselves. And if you not give the time, then the purpose of this brainstorming will not be served. I mean, your purpose is that they should give some novel ideas, some good ideas, they should give some solution to some problems. So if they will not be prepared, then they will not be able to do the needful, and your purpose will not be served. So give them ample time. I mean, it might be 1 week, it might be 15 days, it might be 10 days. I mean, it's up to you, but give them ample time. And before classroom, you go and you present some issues and problems before the students, and then they will start giving their opinion about that problem, the problem which you have raised in the classroom, the problem for which you want to have the solution. And then as a teacher, what's important is you give the opportunity to everyone to respond, listen to everyone. See, in brainstorming, it's not important that someone is giving very good idea. I mean, giving good idea is not important, rather giving idea is important. I mean, let them speak, let them give the idea. So your job as a teacher is, I mean, you have to have patience, and you should listen to everyone. I mean, you should ensure that only few people are not dominating the whole group. Rather, I mean, everyone is getting the ample opportunity to respond. Let them respond. I mean, they might give very rotten idea, they might give very rubbish idea or very silly idea, but definitely you should embrace that. I mean, you just listen, and then finally you give some conclusion, and that chintana or that brainstorming will be over. So if you talk about Nidhi Dhyasana, or if you talk about Vada Vivada, or if you talk about Shastrartha, or if you talk about Chintana, they are very slow process of teaching. They take lot of time. So through these methods, I mean, it will be very difficult for you to finish your syllabus in time. So definitely you have to utilize the lecture. Lecture will be the most suitable method to finish the course in time. But what the beauty of these methods is that somehow they break the monotony of the lecture. They make your lecture more effective. I mean, they activate the students, and sometimes, I mean, some very novel ideas and good ideas come through this. So these are the beauties of these methods of teaching. So in a nutshell, my friend, if I say, I started my lecture with defining what is pedagogy and what are various approaches of pedagogy. Then I describe the various characteristics of Indian pedagogy. Then particularly 9 pedagogies which were used in the ancient time. I took all those 9 and presented it before you people one by one. So it is 6:47, and as per my promise, I think I should stop over here, and I should hand over the session to you people, so that if you want to ask any question or if you want to share anything with me, definitely you can. So, my friends, it's over to you. My friends, any question?
No, sir.
Yeah, Mujtaba sir.
No, sir. It was a good talk, sir, actually.
So no question.
I don't have any questions, sir.
Acha, what about other people? I mean, Basla ma'am, Faiza Salim. I mean, there are so many people. So what about you people?
No more questions, sir.
Basla ma'am, you don't have any question?
No, sir. It's a very good class, actually.
Okay. Jamsina ma'am, other people? No question?
No question, sir. It was very interactive and informative session.
Okay. So Sita Lakshmi ma'am is there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I thought that your participants will ask some questions. So that's why I finished almost 13 minutes earlier. But they are not asking any questions. So yeah. Yes, ma'am. It's up to you. Yeah.
I think even as we are teachers, we have a lot more to learn from you, sir. I think nothing to question you. Actually, everything was clear, actually. Whatever you took was very clear. And I think we participants got so much of information. And the thing here is, we learn so many pedagogies like this, and we hear so many lessons. But as sir said, our syllabus and the time schedule that we are having, I think we are frustrated to implement everything. I think that is the difficulties that teachers are feeling exactly now.
So your participant don't ask questions to any resource person, or they are not particularly asking to me?
They are interactive, sir.
Yeah. Faiza ma'am?
Yes, I have a question. Sir,
Yeah,
in what
sure.
respect the debate different from the brainstorming?
Pardon, ma'am. Repeat your question.
In what respect the debate different from the
Yeah,
brainstorming?
that's very good question. Basically, ma'am, debate takes place between two people on some issue. And brainstorming is also organized on some issue, but the purpose of brainstorming is to get some solution to some problems. And in brainstorming, so many people think together collectively, and then finally they come to some solution. Whereas in the debate, mainly two people debate on some issue, and finally either they contradict one another or they accept others' opinion. Right, Faiza ma'am?
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, any more question? No.
I don't think any more questions are there, sir. So I call upon Basila ma'am to officially deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks for today's enlightening session. On behalf of Grace Valley Arts and Science College, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sajid Jamal sir from the Department of Education, Aligarh Muslim University, for his insightful and inspiring presentation on Indian methods of pedagogy. Sir, you explain its characteristics very clearly and in simple manner using some stories also. And you also implement the method of teaching here also, that asking questions and reading among the participants. It helps us to engage in the session until the last without any boring, actually. And your PPT presentation was so good and interesting. It was simple but enough to describe more. And I would also like to express our sincere gratitude to our respected principal, Dr. Usman sir, for his unwavering support and presence. And also a heartfelt thanks to Ms. Sita Lakshmi ma'am and all the others who worked diligently behind the scenes to organize this event and ensure its success. And finally, my appreciation goes to all the participants for your enthusiasm and active engagement, which truly enriched the session. Yeah, thank you once again, Dr. Sajid Jamal sir, for gracing us with your presence and sharing your precious knowledge. Thank you all and have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So, Sita Lakshmi ma'am, now I should exit?
Yes, sir. Anything
So,
to share?
no, definitely.
Sir, Mr. Vatif here.
Yeah,
Sir,
Mujibur.
if you can
Yes, sir.
share your PPT, please, sir.
Sure.
I have a lot of information is there.
So I think I have got the mail of Sita Lakshmi ma'am. So
Yes,
I
sir.
will send it to Sita Lakshmi.
Sure,
ma'am.
sir. Okay.
She will share it with you. So I think tomorrow is Sunday. So you enjoy Sunday, and then after that, 4 more days of this workshop will be left, and I'm quite sure this workshop will be very fruitful to you.
Yes, sir.
So thank you very much, my friends.
Thank you,
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good evening. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.